Warriors, Warrior Man here. Look, I want to begin with an apology, of course. I'd be a real asshole if I didn't, but I want to apologize for my unusual absence in not being around, not making any kind of appearance whatsoever, the long delay that's going on, especially with the launch of Warrior University a couple months ago, and me asking you to come on as a subscriber, pay $20 a month for a certain number of videos you're going to get, and now we're into that a couple months. I want to let you know that I'm aware of all your concerns, all your criticisms, all of your even jumping to extreme conclusions that somehow or another I'm trying to pull off a scam. I can assure you there's no scam going on here. That's not trying to do that at all. I also want to thank those of you who have been patient and have written to check up to make sure everything's okay. And I'm taking all your ideas and opinions and your positions into account as I sit down to make this video. I've been caught up in something here that I gave all my time and attention to. It came up unexpectedly and all of a sudden, and I had to tend to it immediately, and when I did, I never imagined it was going to take the time that it would. Once I got in the middle of it, I made a decision that I was going to continue to give it all my time and attention, and I got to tell you, because I want to be honest with you, and if I want to encourage you to own your lives, and I'm telling you that one of the most powerful ways to do that is be true to yourself and always be honest. I want to be honest with you now and tell you that if I had to do it all over again, I'd do it the exact same way. I don't say that to piss anybody off. I'm just being open and honest with you. About what's going to happen from here on out. The videos are going to continue to happen. Warrior University is going to continue to happen. By next Monday, there will be more than the minimum number of videos up for the 2 months. So Warrior University has been open for 2 months now. That's 10 videos. So there'll be more than 10 videos up by next Monday. We'll be all caught up on that. And if you want to stay around as a subscriber, you can. If you don't want to, send me an email. I'm now back online. I've been totally offline in every way. I'm online, and we can work out your departure. So that's where we are. That's real simple in that regard. It doesn't need to be complicated. I appreciate that you gave it a shot as a subscriber, if you decided that you don't want to be a part of it anymore. And that's where we're at. Before I tell you a little bit about what I was doing, I want to say a couple other things. And I want to say these things and be clear about them, but I'm not saying them to piss anybody off any more than you may already be pissed off. But I do want to be clear about them. My life is not run by or ruled by my internet activity or how much activity I spend on my website or social media or any of that stuff. Neither is my real character. My real character is not built up out of or judged by how much time I spend on the internet interacting with people, putting blog posts up, Facebook posts, tweets, responding to comments, or any of that stuff. I know that it's a different time, it's a different world, it's a different generation, and people are wired for that, and they're okay with the 24/7 on that. I have had a web presence since late 96, early 97. I've seen all the different changes come along and how social media has grown, and I've listened to some of the, the real true experts out in the field that talk about social media, not people who just are pseudo experts that got their head up their ass, but people who talk about it. And I understand, I get it all, and I'm okay with people that are signed on for 24/7, but I'm not, and I'm okay with the way that I'm doing it. So I just want to let people know that, because I sense just a crawling underneath some people's skin when they don't get immediate responses to emails or text messages or, voicemails. Voicemail's been around a long time, but they don't get a response to a tweet that they make or an RT. I don't really understand all that stuff. And I need to do a video all by itself, all on its own, talking about that kind of stuff, trying to get this second-hand approval or praise from other people in your life. But so I just want you to understand that. The other thing is that what I had going on is relatively a private matter. I'm going to let you know about it in general, but I'm not going to give you details, names and locations and dates and times or anything like that. And about private stuff, it's never been my MO to make the major parts or the majority of my private life public to everybody on the internet. I know that a lot of people do that. There's a thing about people say be transparent, let it all hang out. I have never done that. Again, going back to when I started my website, late 96, early 97, it's never been my MO to do that. In fact, it's hard to find any instances where I bitched, whined, or moaned about anything going on in my life. I have pounded my chest and stood up for myself back when the DVD came out and stuff, but I don't bitch, whine, and moan and let everybody in on my, trivial or serious aches and pains I have in my life. That's not just something that I do. You can go back through all my stuff, I don't do it. And that's not going to change. I find that those who make all the details, open the bathroom door, open the bedroom door, open the door into their private world with their family and everything else, I just find it a little revolting. And I think it's, and evidence shows that it can be very self-destructive. So I'm not going to do that. And, I have to ask, even though there's criticisms, and I'm taking those into account, and some condemnation, I just have to wonder, with no word from me whatsoever, people that got so pissed off must think that they are deserving of me revealing to them every freaking detail of my private life. I mean, to not stop and think for a second that, maybe something's going on in Warrior's life. Maybe he's handling something that, he has no interest in letting the rest of the world know about. Of course, that's another consequence of the internet and the anonymity that's out there, the loss of manners and civility. So, anyway, I want to let you know those things there. What had happened was a man I'd known for 30 years passed away. He's 2 years older than I am, 55. And I've known this guy for 30 years, going back to my days at chiropractic school in Atlanta, Georgia. And for 23 years of those 30 years, we had a super tight, close friendship. And through all my stuff, like I say, all the way back to when I was in chiropractic school, wanted to be a bodybuilder, was in the chiropractic school to become a chiropractor and see where that was going to take me, then got into professional wrestling, all the different things I've been involved in, my wrestling career, the ups and downs, and all the other stuff I've done since I got out of the business, getting married, having children. And for 23 years, we had a really tight, close friendship. And 7 or 8 years ago, we decided to end our friendship, largely because my friend had a really difficult time in removing himself from the past, or moving forward from his great past. He wasn't in sports entertainment, so don't go looking there. But he had become very successful, had achieved fame in a public way, doing something else. And I've spoken before about how each time I left wrestling, I just set new goals for myself and went on. It's something I needed to do. It's something that I was okay with doing, but it's also something I knew I needed to do, that I needed to use my self-discipline to get plugged into something else. I've also talked about every time Vince tracked me down, each time I came back, he would ask me, don't you miss the celebrity and the fame and the limelight? And I, going on the record, and said that's not what made me tick. It was the challenge of it all. And my friend, though, had a really hard time moving on. And it was time for him to move on and do something else. And he had incredible charisma, he had incredible talents and skills, otherwise. Incredible set of tools to use to go out and achieve even a higher level of success doing something else. But he never wanted to close the album of memories. He wanted to keep it open, and not only just keep it open right in front of him and never let it go, continually go back to it and stay stuck there. And it was a real energy drainer for me because I needed to engage my self-discipline to move forward in my life and make things happen in different ways. I knew that I needed to do that. And like many of you who write me in your 30s or 40s or 50s, and you want to make positive, inspiring changes in your own life. And the greatest fighting, the greatest resistance you get is from your friends, your closest friends, and your family members, the people who love and care about you. About why do you want to be a problem to everybody now? I mean, that's the way they put it. I've heard that before. Myself, why do you want to be a problem and make something better about yourself? Why can't you just be comfortable with who you are now and not make the rest of us feel uncomfortable? Those type of things. So here I have a friend all these years, and I'm at this place in my life where I know I'm not going to be able to, as he tried to always talk about, go back into the belly of the beast. You know, go back to the wrestling and do this. And I'd already made a decision. I'd already committed myself that that wasn't going to happen for me. And I had all this life ahead of me. And at that time, it just, you know, started a family and everything else. So we ended our friendship. I got a call, and he, you know, unexpectedly passed away, had a massive heart attack, and had been into health and fitness years ago, but not in the same way I was. Of course, that's no guarantee that I'm into hardcore, intense exercise, that I'm not going to have a heart attack. But got a call from the family. I knew his mom and his dad. I knew his brothers and his sisters. I spent time with him, my friend, when he was with them. Going back, again, clear back to my college days. I have memories in my head right now of it all. I knew his wife. I knew his kids when they were infants. He started having kids the same time I did. And they asked me if I would come say a few words at the service. And I said, sure, there would be no problem. So I went a couple days early, and I stayed a couple days later, and we did a lot of sitting around the table, talking and laughing and getting emotional about it all, and wondering, like people do, you know, why it happened to him. And you just never know, those type of discussions that you have when this kind of thing happens to people you know. And come to find out that he was really living two lives. He was telling his wife and his mom and his dad, his brothers and sisters, that, you know, there was wealth enough that he had put away, that if anything had ever happened to him, his kids and his wife would be taken care of. It wouldn't be any problem. And it turns out that that wasn't true. And it was all a big surprise. His wife was a full-time housewife, and I get this all the time, see this all the time. Guys who have a successful run at something and make a great amount of wealth, they end up, once they find somebody else or find somebody for the first time in their life they want to spend the rest of their lives with, they handle everything. They handle all the planning, the estate planning, the financial, they pay the bills, they handle the dealings with the lawyers and everything else, and they start having a family, got little kids, and they want their wife to have the luxury of just being a full-time housewife, so she doesn't know anything about how life really works. Not that she's too stupid to, it's just that the guy handles it. And so it was all a big surprise to them. And so here I am, I'm basically in a position to get on a plane and go home and say, fuck it, it's not my problem, or stay and see what I can do to get things on a balanced and on a better footing. His mom and dad and his brother and sister are not wealthy people by any means. He's got, you know, his wife that he's left behind and his two kids. So that's what I was doing. And it took a lot longer than the few days that I originally went there for. It ended up involving a lot of discovery. My friend had not spent any time discussing with his wife how their lives were working. All she knew was that they continued to have an incredible quality of life, taking, you know, exotic vacations, and their kids had the best of everything, and they never had to go without anything. He never had any discussions with his dad or his mom or his brothers or sisters about what their actual situation was. I guess over the last 7, 8 years, he was living off the wealth that he had built up, but it was, you know, running out. He didn't have any friends or a friendship like the one that he'd had with me, they said. And they didn't know of any that they felt they could call and or that he spent enough time with where they could ask them what was going on, now that they were shocked to find out what was actually going on. They didn't think that he had any friends that he was close enough to that he would discuss those kinds of things with. And if this kind of stuff was going on back then when I knew him, at the end of our friendship, then he wasn't saying anything to me then, and I never suspected that his life situation was that way. So part of that discovery was getting into his computer. And the fortunate thing is what was not found, different than the horror story a lot of people find in these situations where there's all kinds of adulterous affairs going on, or, you know, into internet porn and all that stuff. That wasn't going on, but he was spending a lot of time on the internet every day. And, you know, his wife figured that he had money. He had made money. He had money. He didn't go out to a job every day. Spent a lot of time on the internet and was basically lost, looking for a plan or a purpose to his life is what he was doing. We got into the emails and the receipt logs he had online about what he'd been buying, and the correspondence that had taken place with other people, and the RSS feed, and what kind of newsletters he was subscribing to. He was surviving day by day on this immediate gratification he got from going around to all these self-help experts and gurus, people, these life coaches on the internet that have the blog post and all the commentaries and the newsletters and the free books and all that stuff. And he was falling for all that, I guess, thinking that, you know, he was going to find his plan or purpose there. And, you know, it's no different than a lot of the stories I get through many of the emails. Guys write me, they're in their 30s, 40s, and 50s now. They've been doing the same thing for 20 years. They got the cookie cutter home. They got the average lifestyle. They're doing everything to get a paycheck, to make ends meet. They take the same 2-week vacation every year. They get a new car every 4 or 5 years. Same thing year after year after year. Write and tell me, and that they don't have a plan. They don't have a purpose. And their kids are of an age now where they're talking about wanting to go to college. And all these years as they've been growing up, their parents have been saying, yeah, you're going to go to college. We're going to pay for you to go to college. We're going to pay for this. We're going to pay for that. They haven't saved anything. They haven't planned for the future. And they're scared about what they're going to do. And of course, I never imagined that out of my friend. He never revealed anything like that about himself to me. And goes back to why I say our friendship fell out. Even though I didn't know it, it had a lot to do with it, because that's what he was thinking about himself. That I don't have a plan. I don't have a purpose now that I'm not doing this thing that I'm famous for. So what am I going to do? You see a lot of that shit on the internet. You see a lot of people falling for that. The same marketing website template people plug into. You get the newsletter first. You start with that. You get something free, a free ebook. It's just a lure to keep bringing you in and start. They're always cautiously warning you that you can't do it on your own. You're going to need me the whole time. You got to keep coming around. You got to keep getting my new materials, my new products. You got to read all this. Stay up to date with my blog post and everything else. You see how it's done. I've been around long enough to see how it's going on. I just despise it. I just can't stand it. And when I think about what I want to do with my website and with Warrior University and with the videos and how I want to inspire, encourage you to own your life, people are becoming information and instruction idiots. People are becoming, they get a bigger thrill out of continually looking for answers on the internet, which is infinite, it never ends, rather than finding answers that satisfy the appetite they have to have answers to what they need to do to make their lives work. And so that's where we are, and that's what's been going on. As I said, by next Monday, there'll be more than the minimum for the 2 months that Warrior University has been open, more than the minimum number of videos up for you. And I'm going to keep pumping them out. I'm going to go light on the instruction and the information. I'm going to let you know what has worked for me. The truth is that you don't need me. You don't need to depend on anybody to make your life work. You don't. The very first injection of inspiration video I recorded, I never posted. It's me sitting right here looking out early in the morning, the sun's coming up, and I'm talking about Mr. Resistance being there as you get out of bed, ready to punch you in the fucking face. And I turn into the camera and I ask you, the viewer, I ask, who am I right now? I'll let you think about it for 10 or 15 seconds. I look back out the window, I turn into the camera, and I ask you again, who am I right now? And then I say to you, I tell you who I am. I'm Mr. Resistance. I'm Mr. Resistance. Anything or anybody that takes you away from you spending your time paying attention to your own life, your own pursuits, your own learning, your own figuring out, your own actions is fucking resistance. Everybody and everything. So when you come to Warrior University, I'm going to take a mirror and hold it up to you. And I'm going to say, it's stupid for you to ask questions because you are the answer. And the best learning you will do will be through your own engagement of experiences, period. That's the best teacher you can ever have. And the longer you put off getting out there, getting dirty yourself, suffering some pain and some agony, making fucking huge mistakes, mishaps, setbacks, all that stuff, the longer you put that off, the longer you're putting off finding out what will work for you, for the unique person you are. You're not going to get it from somebody else. You always need to be learning throughout your life. That's a good thing, building your own library. But it's better to do that than to get the instruction from the mouth of somebody else into your ear. Buy the books. I'm going to show you the books that have inspired me, influenced me positively in my life, empowered me in my life. But I'm not going to explain the instruction or information in the books. I'm going to tell you the books that I bought. You need to buy them. You need to dog-ear the pages. You need to highlight the text. You need to make notes in the column. You need to argue and debate with what's going on in there so that you can learn to form your own ideas, become an independent thinker, come up with your own opinions, and not just be one of the sheep in the fucking herd. Be a leader, at least for yourself. At least lead yourself. If you don't want to be a leader for anybody else, become your own leader. Again, I apologize for the long delay in not making any updates, but it's important that you follow your own gut instincts on things. And I followed mine. And I did the right thing, and it's never wrong to do the right thing. It's always right to do the right thing. I'm the warrior man. Always believe. I'm out of here.